Howdy everyone, this is Jessica from Stamp Punch Love coming to you today with a requested video based on a card on my blog called Up, Up, and Away. This is the original and it has a sponged cloud background with a nice bunch of balloons across the front. Today's version is going to be a little baby boy version, and we're going to get started by drawing out our cloud template. It can be any scrap piece of paper as long as it's wider than the panel you're sponging, which in this case is a 4.5 by 4.5 piece of thick whisper white, because it's a square card that's going to end up being 5 by 5. I'm bringing in my Tempting Turquoise ink pad with a Stampin' Sponge that I've cut into a wedge, and in my case I've just stapled a piece of Tempting Turquoise to the top. I think I used the large oval. Just so I can keep up with which one's which really easily. Now we're just going to edge along the edge of that. We're just going to sponge along the edge of that template, and then we're just going to move it around to whatever looks good, whatever floats your boat. And you know me, I love sponging, so I think this is really fun. But even if you're not a sponger, this goes really, really quickly. And so now that we have the background, we're going to take our balloon bouquet punch, which you can get in a bundle. I always recommend bundles. It's a great way to save money. And we're just going to punch out the little balloons. And I only did little balloons in this case because I was doing a whole bunch of them. Literally a bunch of balloons. And I thought that the big ones were just a little too overpowering for the bunch. But I'm sure that you could do a really, really cute bunch with the big balloons if that's what you wanted to do. I'm using 3 different colors of cardstock. The first was Tempting Turquoise, which I did originally punch 3 of because I thought that was going to be my predominant color in the bunch. But I changed my mind and decided to do more yellow, which is so saffron in this case. The second color I had punched was Pacific Point. So I have 2 different color blues and the yellow. And you'll notice I got too close to the edge on that balloon when I punched it, so I have wibbly bits. So I'm just trimming those off with a pair of my scissors, which if you do not have these scissors, you should have these scissors. They will change your life. So back to the project. We are going to place a glue dot on the back of the balloon. We're going to take our basic gray baker's twine, which if you don't have, you get a package of, you will have forever because it comes with a million yards on it. And for this balloon, we are just going to stick it on the back, stick some snail on the back because it's going flat to the card front, put it in the corner, and then how I measure my twine is I just pull it to the corner so I know about how much I'm going to need and trim it off. Then I take my next balloon, and it's going to get the same glue dot and twine treatment, but it's going to get one-dimensional. The next balloon will get the exact same thing. I don't know why I'm pulling my glue dots directly from my roll, because normally I use my Stampin' Piercer to place things, but I guess because I was in a hurry that I wasn't planning on filming, and I got a request for this video, so I decided to do it really quickly while I had a moment's of time. So you'll notice very soon that I make some mistakes, and I decided to leave them in so y'all could see that happens to all of us while we're in card making or a 3D project or whatever craft we're doing. And for this balloon, I did the same one-dimensional, but I just pointed out that I put it to the side so that it layered nicely with the other balloons. And here's where I start making some mistakes is on this Pacific Point balloon. I put my glue dot on, I put my twine on, and then I do my dimensionals correctly. I stack those up. So I'm putting one down, taking my next one, and I'm putting it right on top of the first one. This is going to make it look like we have a third layer of balloons, which is optional, but I really like because it does add more dimension to the card. It makes it a little more lifelike, like the balloons are actually coming out towards you. And I put that down, and I start to move on to my So Saffron balloon, when I realize, I realize very, very soon that this is one of the balloons that's going to be showing. And I did not do the right twine treatment. Yep, there it goes. And so what I do is I pull that off, and I'm going to show you right here that I wrap my twine around the front so it looks like it's actually tied around the balloon. And if you go back and look at the original card, all the balloons that are showing have this done to them, so it looks like it's actually tied on. So I'll stick that back down. Nice and pretty. And then I grab my So Saffron, only to realize that the glue dot is not in the right place. So I bring in my paper piercer, and I get that off, which I'll use that for something else later. Nothing goes to waste in my craft room. And I place my glue dot and put my twine on, and then wrap it around, because this is one of the balloons that's going to be showing. So let me show you how I do that again. Ta-da! Alright, and then I pull it down, and if you have a little bit of sticky still exposed, it's nice to kind of stick that down again so that it stays coming out the bottom nicely. And we're going to do our 2 dimensionals one more time on this one. And again, I'm putting them just slightly off to the side so that it layers really nicely. That's how that looks doubled up. Boom. Trim it up. And then for our last balloon, I don't know why, I did this on the original card as well, but I did it, I slid it under the Pacific Point balloon because it only has 1 dimensional. And again, don't know why I did it, but I did it on the original one as well. Don't know why I didn't do it before the Pacific Point balloon, I guess is what I should say. Put that down and slide it under. And then we're going to trim that off. Now, we're not going to trim those strings completely out or glue them down until after our sentiment. I'm using my triple banner punch and banner triple punch and a 1-inch strip of Pacific Point with a 3/4 inch strip of Whisper White. And again, this is the thick Whisper White because it's just what I prefer, really. And you could use your hexagon punch. I use that a lot if I for a quick banner look, but I had this one handy, so I used it. And I'm using the A Dozen Thoughts stamp set, which is another must-have. You'll notice I use it quite a bit, and I'm using It's a Boy. Now, for whatever reason, this stamp looked straight on my block, because I kept checking. It looks straight on my block, but it took 4 tries to get this right. So you'll notice this little cutaway there. That's because I had to go cut a whole new strip. And thank God for backs of paper. Yay! I feel like I should have put like fireworks on the screen for that. It took 4 tries. But I finally got it on, and because it was on the back of the strip I cut and my trimming blade is getting a little dull, my edges weren't pretty, so I just took my bone folder and smoothed out those edges. Little trick for you that really, really works. So, strip of snail, pop it down. Perfect. So now I'm going to kind of judge where I want that sentiment. How far up, how far down, how far over. And I'm just going to trim that up really quickly. And I didn't get it completely straight, so I'm going to trim that a little bit more in a second. There we go. And now I'm going to take a glue dot and put those strings down to where they actually stay. They don't creep up out from behind my cinnamon or anything. There we go. So those aren't going anywhere. I can trim up the last little bit of those tails. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to put my sentiment on. Now, because of the way that the strings run, I'm going to put it in opposite corners so that the strings run through that open area. And I'm going to take my Pacific Point 5x5 card base. So it's actually cut at 10x5 and then scored at 5. And I do use my Simply Scored and my bone folder for all my cards because it just looks so much cleaner to me. I'm adding my card front with snail to a 4 3/4 inch Tempting Turquoise piece that I'm going to then place on my card base. Finally, my sentiment, which is still just ever so slightly crooked. So I'm going to trim that up. There we go. So there is today's finished card. Not sparkly at all like the original right here, but still super, super, super cute. So there's a sparkle on that one. And here is, I guess, what we call a matte version, but perfect for a little boy. Thanks and good.